boys and girls, this is Friday. You know Friday is right here in my heart because that's the end of the work week. Fuck the work week! Because we are here on a Friday evening. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest. I've been so amped up all week for this one, kids. My very special guest, the debuting Mark Alexander. Thank you for coming on the show, my friend.
And thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited about this.
Absolutely, because I love getting the talents when they first start out in their career. May it be a first interview, a first promo, a first whatever. And I think we're catching the knife very hot right now because Mark Alexander just debuted at TOS Unforgettable. He looked marvelous, majestic. It was amazing. And I'll tell you, I was not the only fan that popped and lost their shit when we saw you come out in your gear and your look. You looked very professional. And I want to start right there, Mark, because I know you're a new guy as a wrestler. I know you've ref. We're going to talk about that.
Yep.
But as a guy in wrestling coming out for your debut, a lot of guys can look like shit. Not my man, Mark. He came out very, very professional looking. And I applaud you as a fan for that. Thank you so much. And you look great, too.
I appreciate that. That was like a big thing going into it was like I wanted to like make sure like when it came to like first gear, kind of like first impressions, like all that, like I wanted to make sure like I had a little time, I had like a little like notice of like, how long I had till the day was coming. So I made sure I was like, okay, I've got a little time here to make sure like everything's kind of like, come together by time the day came. So it was a really awesome experience.
It's got to be very exciting for that first build up to your first match. And it's not like, it's just a practice thing that you're going through. You're legit at one of the bigger shows that Tessa Strength puts out. I like to call them the pay-per-views, if you will, because they were doing the training days at their smaller venue, being the dojo in East Hartford. That's where they're based out of. But then they take the shows. They started taking the shows on the road, starting with the very first Fight for Your Dreams, which is absolutely amazing. But I like to call them the TOS pay-per-views. And you got to debut on one of the bigger shows. The crowd was hot. We were loving it. It was a great, great experience. But my point being is that's got to be very exciting, very nerve-wracking. You got to be so stoked and trying to take it all in. Could you just do us a favor, please? And I know it's probably, we don't need all the details, like when you woke up and brushed your teeth or whatever. But could you kind of take us through that day? Because I'm not an athlete. I will never do what you guys and girls do. And that's why I give you guys so much credit. Could you kind of take us through that day? The alarm clock wakes you up, or does it even wake you up because you're so freaking amped? Just kind of take us a little bit through your day, if you could, leading up to Unforgettable.
It's actually funny you say that because that's exactly what happened. Like I had an alarm set for like 8 a.m. because I was gonna show up to the dojo, help like move the ring to the venue, all that. I had an alarm set for 8 a.m. and I just like the night before, like sleep was like impossible. Like I kind of got to sleep for a couple hours, and then like my nerves kind of like kicked me up. I think I was awake since like probably like 6 a.m. that day, not even really doing much. I remember I went over, got like I try like on like now doing shows and stuff. I want to try do like a light like workout on like show days just for like physical appearance, all that. Yep. I did that, helped move the ring, all that. And it's funny, like I was telling like my family about this when they were asking. I didn't really have any nerves like that day until probably like minutes before the match. Like the nerves were kind of down, like, it felt like a normal day. Cause ring crew is nothing, like just going around, like, we're with the TOS family. Like it wasn't anything like I hadn't done before, right. But the second it was time for like match time, that was like, oh, okay, we're doing this. And it was nerve wracking, but I had like, a lot of good people like around me to support me and like, get ready for that. And, it was awesome. Like the whole thing was like almost like I remember saying before I went out, I was like, I want to try and like be in the moment for this. This is my first wrestling match. but it was like, it kind of wound up being like this whirlwind blur of like a few minutes. Like from when I walked out, just when I got back there, like I had a couple of friends there, and they like afterwards, like, wanted to like just talk and like, like chat. So I like met them outside, and I was like still in like full gear, like shirtless, like just wearing wrestling tights out in the street talking to them. And they were like, "Aren't you cold, man?" And I was like, "No." not at all. Like it was like pure adrenaline.
That adrenaline was just pumping still way post match.
Oh yeah. It was still going. It was crazy.
Now, getting on that gear, that's probably where it really kind of starts setting in. You're gearing up. You got the hair looking marvelous. And I hate you for all your beautiful hair, you son of a bitch.
It's up in the bun right now.
You look fantastic, but gearing up, and that's kind of probably where I'm almost feeling that shit's starting to get so real right now. Like, I'm actually gearing up for my first, like you said, putting up the ring. That's been done. You've done that with the boys and girls over at Test of Strength. But gearing up, that's a different animal. That's a different environment, a different vibe than what you're ever been used to, because you were a referee previous. Yep. And I know you wore the uniform, but this is so much different because the spotlight is way different than being a referee to being a performer, a wrestler in a big match too, because you had some freaking names on your team and your opposing team.
Yeah. It was surreal. It was so different, I feel like, mainly because I feel like when you're a referee, inadvertently almost, I feel like your goal is almost not to be noticed in a way. Mm-hmm. Like, because the talent are in there, they're wrestling. Like, so it's like, as a referee, you're officiating, you're kind of like what's keeping order. So it's like, a good referee, you're not gonna like, realistically, like, not gonna notice all that much. So like going from that to now we're wrestling, your goal is basically to get noticed as much as possible, was such a like huge transition for me like to make.
It is, because it's the polar opposite, and you are so correct. Boys and girls, that is one of the very, very valid points from Mark right there. As a referee, and I know we shine light on our favorite talents, but I'm not afraid to shine light on our favorite referees, our favorite ring announcers, whoever it may be, the timekeeper, the bell, the guy who's ringing the bell, the manager. I don't care. I love to just cheer them on. And I know Mark made a very valid point. You're supposed to kind of not take away from the match, but keep order. Let the athlete shine. And I'm here to do one thing. Just keep the peace, get that 3 count. That's my job. And I kind of make my way out. And I appreciate you saying it the way you did. I think that was very perfect, perfectly put. Now, the transition, I would love to talk about that. And I know I'm going to be bouncing all over the place. Please just hold on for this roller coaster, if you will, my friend. Now, the transition you spoke of already, going from referee to wrestler, and I'm going to utilize a couple shows back to back, and then here we are at Unforgettable. Now, the referee's supposed to, like we said, not be seen too much, not take away from the match, keep order, take that 3 count, move on. But referee Mark, you and Brother Greatness, ooh, man, there was some turmoil, and that is far from being over. I already know that, first off. But there started this storyline between you and Brother Greatness, and it just took off like a rocket. And out of nowhere, very tight-lipped you were too about your debut, you son of a bitch. Out of nowhere, Mark comes out in his gear. He's part of the team. He's on the card. It's all written in stone. Could you talk to us a little bit about that transition? Because it's such 2 different worlds, as we've already started to speak about. And I want to get a little deeper into that.
Yeah, I mean, going from referee to wrestler was interesting because, like, the whole time, like, I was just refereeing, not really involved in anything. I was kind of like just doing my thing. And those couple of things with Brother Greatness happened, and that kind of was like, okay, starting to get into something here, like something's boiling. And yeah, we eventually, I vividly remember the day they announced it too. Like I was just in the gym one day, and I love the TOS. I always just check the event page, like once they put it up.
Me too.
And I always just look at the event page just to see what's going on. Like like matches are starting to get pulled up, and I was in the gym one day and I just saw like my name on the card, and it was that was a good workout. I definitely got amped up by that for sure. Yeah, it was so like out of unexpected, because I felt it was coming for a while, just because all this stuff had been happening. I felt we were kind of getting close, but it just out of nowhere, I just saw it one day and I was like, "Ooh, here we go."
So let's pause right there. Then we'll continue from the transition from referee to wrestler. So you're at the gym. You see this on the social media. It's not like the higher brass at TOS said, "Hey, Mark, we're going to be putting you in something. Get ready." You're reading this as the fans are at the same time. That just blows my mind, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's so wrestling, my man.
Yeah, it really was. It was just like literally, I was like in between doing some stuff, and I like look at my phone. I'm just like, oh yeah, I wonder if they put any more matches up, and I'm like, oh, there's my name. Like it was so exciting. I was like it was. That was like announced like like maybe like a month out from it, 3 weeks, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I've got a little time to like start. Okay, let's make sure this gear is all finalized, make sure I'm like the best like shape possible, like everything. Like, so it was good to know like that, have that little like month to get ready.
Just that little window, if you will, right?
Yep. Yeah. It was definitely nice to have that.
So you're at the gym, you get on the old social, you start flipping and you see your name, you shit yourself a little bit. Your workout, you were Lou Ferrigno through the rest of your workout, if you will. That's an old school. I don't know if you got that one. But now take us through to where, you're not going to be a referee anymore, because now that's kind of past in your career. You're moving on to becoming a performer. While you're at the gym and you read this, obviously your adrenaline just goes and you get that big workout going. After, you kind of get in your car, maybe you've already gotten home or whatever the situation was. When it starts settling in, are you like, uh-oh, holy shit.
I went through like, I almost say it was like a little like sandwich, because like right when it was announced, that it definitely hit. Like I went, when I got home, I was like, oh, okay, a little nervous. And then, we're still 3 weeks or so out. So like a couple days go by and I like kind of, not that I stopped thinking about it, but I sort of like calmed down, just because I was like, okay, like still got some time like to figure all this out, all that. And then as it got a little closer, I remember like those like 2 or 3 days before, it definitely started getting a little like, some nerves started hitting again. Like those couple days before, it was like, okay, like it's crunch time. Like, like the last training session before all that, it was right. Definitely starting to hit.
Now, getting into your gear, hitting the ring, being with your peers, your coworkers, if you will, your friends, your family. TOS over there is just very tight over there, your mind, your mentality has to totally do a 180 out of being a referee. I'm not sliding. I'm not counting. I'm not admonishing. I'm not this. I'm not standing in that corner. I'm not letting the performers do what they do, because I'm a performer now. Yep. Does your mentality have to really, did you have to kind of get in a zone and be like, okay, get this shit together, because I'm not reffing tonight. I'm actually going to be in the ring doing this stuff.
There was definitely like a process of like hyping myself up for it, because like as a referee, it was almost like I never really had to hype myself up or anything. I'm just going out there doing my thing. But there was definitely like a sequence of time where I had to like hype myself up, and it was funny too, because like I remember there was a point in the match where like they kind of came over to us, and a couple of us tried to get in the ring. And we're like being held back by the referee, like is trying to tell us, you can't come in, you're illegal. And I'm just sitting here like, it used to be my job. Like, what happened? like of all people, like here I am trying to illegally get in the ring.
Oh, but that's what we do when we want to save our friends in the ring, though. I mean, You
That's
know.
why.
Uh, and speaking of the referee that was officiating, Q the ref. I love that guy to pieces.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I love Q.
Love that guy to. Oh my goodness. Now I want to talk about your gear because again, it looked very professional. It looked very fit. You look fantastic. Where does this come from? The gear. Who made your gear? Question one. And question two, what was the inspiration? Because I see it looks like a very specific color, if you will.
Yeah.
What's the inspiration on the gear?
So my gear was like such an insane process because it all came from so many different places. Like the tights themselves were made by Broly. He does strong style gear.
Okay.
He was the one who made my gear. He made the tights, but the design for the tights came from a friend of mine, Kev. Like he is super good with like the kind of like graphic design type stuff. He like designs like he likes gets fun out of like designing like just like custom like gear. So I kind of hit him up and I'm like, I have this idea for gear. I kind of want it to almost look like the original idea was almost to have it look like something like a race car driver would wear, like kind of like race pants almost in a way.
Okay.
And he's like, what color do you want? What's this? What's that? And I'm like, bro, I have no idea. And he kind of ran with it a little bit and hit me up with like a few like mock-ups. And that
Okay.
I loved he came up with like that like teal kind of like almost like lightish bluish green. And I was like, I loved that one because I'm like, it's a very unique color. I don't think a lot of people out there are like, wearing that. So I was like, okay, that'll be like, that'll stick out. That'll be my thing. And then,
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I'm sorry to cut you off,
no,
but
no,
I appreciate that as an athlete because you're trying to. It's just so hard to be a singles wrestler out there. I mean, any kind of wrestler, but a singles wrestler, it's very hard to stand out. And
yeah,
a lot of the guys that are the young guys that come out, they want to be flashy. They want to, wear something in homage to somebody, but it's very flashy. It's very bright. And there's a lot of the similar colors that do run in wrestling. Maybe not the same look, but the same similar colors.
yeah.
But here comes Mark with a very unique color. And that, for me as a fan, when you came out the curtain, that was the first thing I picked up on. Well, actually, there was three things: the tights, the headband, and your beautiful mane that you got going on. My goodness. But yeah, I really appreciate that you looked at that and like, this is a unique color, man. I dig that. So that's pretty cool.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, it was really just the tights, and then I did like I went with like knee pad covers because I wanted to have the ever since I got there. I don't know why I always wanted to have the TOS logo on on one of my knee pads. It was like that was like literally like one of my first like weeks training. Like I was like, that's gonna be on one of my knee pads. I like the idea of like a circle logo on the knee pad, so I was like, I'll do that. So I got like highspots.com just to do like a quick like just couple days. They did they put the knee pad cover deal, like they put the logo right on that. So you basically just slide it like over the knee pad. I did that for the logo, and I think it all came together pretty like nicely. Like it was really cool.
Yeah, it definitely did come together. And when you came out with the group you were with, now what I'd like you to do is tell us who was involved on your team. Tell us who your opponents are, because and I hope it's just not my dad and his dog watching this later on. And if that's the only two views we get, I apologize. That's my bad. But please tell us who was on your team, because this was a big match. Who was on your team and who was your who were your opponents, please, sir?
Yeah, so like my team was it was very cool. We had Karen Bam Bam, like former Test of Strength champion, which is very, very cool. She's been super supportive like ever since like she came to TOS. We had Hippie Dicky Moon, who's been like super supportive throughout my whole time training. So having him there was like super special.
And the TOS mainstay, if you will.
Yeah, TOS mainstay, and Love Dog, who was super cool. Like him and I have like spoken like a few times. Like like 'cause he's pretty new at like TOS. So
Yep.
it was super cool having him on the team too. Like he's been super cool since he's come over. So it was a good group of people for the first match for sure.
And before you go on to your opponents, I just want to say one thing because you did mention Love Doug, and if I don't, I would be remiss. Smooches, I love that guy. Oh
He's
my
great.
God, what he does, what he brings to the table, the little word plays and the puns and stuff. Oh, I love me some Love Doug. He's such a gem, that guy.
He's great. I always love. There's always a moment like towards the end of the night where like everyone's kind of cleaning up, the event's dying down, and everyone's like, okay, who's gonna grab the broom and clean up these like rose petals? Like there's always a moment. Like who's gonna do it?
I actually saved one. We went to APW last week up in Newburyport, and Love Doug was not only on one match, but he was in the main event as well. The entire
awesome.
night was made of triple threats, and he man, that Love Doug is something. I love that guy.
Yeah. He's great. He's great.
Now, this is where I mean, I hate to bring up these names in general, a few of them, but
Yeah.
please tell us your opponents that you was across the ring from you guys.
It was a good lineup. I mean, worthy opponents for sure. I mean, you had obviously Brother Greatness, who's been, a thorn in my side for a while now. Evie, who has, basically it was interesting. She like her and I arrived like roughly like ish, like, she was like at TOS right around when I like got there. So that was cool. And Dan the Man, who I've seen basically torment the TOS roster for, I don't know, ever since I got there 3 years now. So it was cool to finally get my hands on him. I'm not gonna lie, watching those shows with him on top, got me mad for a while. So it was cool to have him on the other team. And I believe Vinder was like a new roster man. I don't think he's ever been to a TOS event before. I don't believe. So that was cool as well.
I want to say like Suki or something like that. I forget how to pronounce his name. Dude, that dude's jacked.
He was big. When I first saw him across the ring, I was like, oh, okay. Hope he's not in there.
That dude was flipping jacked. And Dan the Man, yet being another former TOS champ.
Yeah.
And there's only been a few to date. And the reason why, Dan the Man had one hell of a reign in the Danos era under his thumb. And my goodness, whenever Karen Bam Bam took that away from him, Mark, oh, that was just such an uplifting moment.
Oh,
my life, I think a piece of my soul came flying back from somewhere. That was amazing when she won that championship. Oh my goodness. Oh, love it. Now, accompanying them, and I would, he'll probably strangle me if I don't mention him. We also have another newer guy who's come into TOS, and he's been showing his face with his Versace clothing or whatever the hell he's got going on in his $1,000 glasses, or I don't know. That is one, and he wouldn't tell me his name at first, and his name wasn't known at that time, and I really tried to pull it out of him. But then TOS did announce it.
Yeah.
One Patrick Saint came out with the opposing team, if you will, as the manager or valet, however you want to see it. And he got his hands on you. And I have a very perfect camera angle on that because of where you guys were positioned. The hard cam was on the very opposite side of the ring on the stage, where I was on this side of the ring facing the action, while the mobile camera guy, Lenny, was like right in the middle of yo shit, I will say.
It was a little tight.
He got tangled up there. But here comes Mark over the top rope, and who catches you but Patrick Saint? I
Yeah.
wanted to yell profanity after profanity at Mr. Saint when he laid his hands on you, because he's not even supposed to be part of the match, first off. And as soon as he put his hands on you, he should have just been totally banished from ringside. But the rest of the match was very short lived after that. So I mean, that would have been a win.
Yeah.
But what followed was then the man grabbed you, smashed your face, like right into the steps that lead up into the ring. And I hate to bring back bad memories and stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to rewind a little bit earlier into that match, but I wanted to talk about that match because of Mr. Patrick Saint. Is there something going on? Does he not like Mark Alexander, or what's up there?
I mean, it's starting to feel a little personal now. I mean, like it started like even the month before. I mean, it was when I was still refereeing. I got my hands on Brother Greatness again, and he put me in that choke and basically strangled me in the ring. And then for my debut match, I mean, as much as that day was super special, the only thing that could have made it that bit better would be if we got the win. And the only reason we didn't was yet again Patrick Saint, getting himself involved. So, I don't know if it's personal with him and me. I don't know if he doesn't like me. I don't know what it is, but he's starting to get on my nerves, and he's in that match next month, the Battle Royal. So we'll see what happens there.
Now, we named all of the opponents. We named one of the situations that happened. Your opponents collectively are now called the Mission.
Yes.
And I put a picture up of them. It really pained me to do so. Patrick Saint even commented, "It's about time you do something right, Kincaid." Pissed me off.
I'll get him.
That would be amazing.
I'll get him.
But the Mission really seem like they're on a mission over there. So my point of saying that is, please be careful, sir. Really, be careful on your mission against the Mission. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be dangerous.
It is, because Dan the Man alone is a very dangerous man. Never mind the whole team that he's got behind him now. So, and I want to talk about a couple of those things that happen. And see, I just go all over the place. I want to talk about a couple of those things that happen with you and Brother Greatness as you were a referee, because it happened here, it happened there, it happened here, it happened there. There was like 3 or 4 incidents that happened. But you got your hands on Brother Greatness. And I know the referee aren't supposed to be, getting mixed up with the talent.
Yeah.
But Mark, it just seemed like enough was enough with this Brother Greatness hoo-ha crap going on.
Yeah.
What made you snap? Because you just came out of nowhere and you dusted him that very first time. We lost our shit.
I mean, the first time he was the match was over. I believe he had just lost to Kylon King in the big 6-way match.
He did. Took the L.
he lost, and I mean, it was one of those things where he lost and he was just beaten down on Kylon after the match. And as a referee, it's my job to, there's an non-sanctioned fight happening. It's my job to get involved with that. And he slapped me. And I mean, wrestling is something I've always wanted to do with my life. It kind of was like the cards I was dealt when I wound up in the referee spot. So it was a pretty fast transition. When I got slapped, it was like, okay, the referee job's in the past. Like, let's do this. So,
So Brother Greatness was almost the spark that brought Mark Alexander into his debuting match for a degree, yeah?
I would definitely. That's the one. If you told me I had to thank Brother Greatness for one thing, it would be the fact that he lit the fire under my ass that led to the Mark Alexander birth, I guess you could say.
Well, I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I have to. Thank you, Brother Greatness, for smacking Mark Alexander around a little bit, or Ref Mark at the time, around a little bit, because we wouldn't have the debut of Mark Alexander. So I thank you, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Not today, Santa. Not today, Santa. I love that. But anyways, I'm going to go back to the match again. On the other side, where I was describing where the hard cam is on the stage, there was a lot of stuff going on over there. And there's an open area where Kylon King, like the likes of Kylon King, he comes shooting like a freaking rocket through those ropes. And where the hard cam is, that space is utilized a lot over there. And on that specific side, again, I got a great shot of it. You, my man, did this slingshot thing over the ropes onto the everybody that was over there. There was probably like 30 people over there. Hey, you're crazy. You know, I'm just saying you're crazy. This is your debuting match. Not that you were going for broke, but you didn't hold back at the same time either, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in my head, it was like, this is my first impression. You know, the TOS crowd, they've seen me out here before, but this is, in a sense, a first impression. You know, like this is the first time they're seeing me in the wrestler role. So I knew I had to kind of leave it all out there. You know, I got cleared house, and then when I saw the opportunity to go over, it was like, I mean, this is my debut. I got to leave an impression on these people, and I did it whatever it took to win the match.
Impressive. Again, impressive and daring at the same time, because once you going out of the ring, it's very questionable what can happen. Within the ring, it's a little more controlled.
Right.
Once you get out of those ropes, man, those question marks start popping up. So dangerous, yes, but going for it, absolutely. This is my debut. I'm going to show you what I got here, baby. Now I want to talk about the crowd, because I like to ask a question with the talent. Do you hear the crowd when you come through the curtain? Do you hear them when they're chanting you? Do you hear them when they're booing you? Do you hear what they say to you while you're mid-match? How do you utilize them as a tool, or can you? But this was your debut match, and I'm just going to point blank ask you. That crowd was yelling, Mark, 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 Mark. Did you hear that, Chip? Because it was beautiful.
It's one of those things where I find when I'm out there, I don't process specifically like what's being said, but the way I wrestle, like the people like being there and like with me, that like I can't describe it. It's like I don't hear them. Like I don't specifically hear the words being said, but I feel like the support. You know what I mean? Like I could definitely feel like they were with me. Like so when I was coming in and doing everything I did, like it was all that much sweeter hearing like all this just like support for me from like everyone who I've been here for like probably 3 years now, 2 years now. So having all those like people, like I'm looking around and I'm seeing like you were there. I saw like all my like the people who I've like basically just come to become so close with over the last 2 years, just surrounding me and supporting me. It was a special moment.
And we need that. Well, you guys and girls need that, not me. As a support system to maintain being a good wrestler, you need the mental, you need the physical. And with a support system, may it be your family, may it be friends, may it be your coworkers, or wherever it comes from, I always feel you need something behind you as a support system. And I'm so glad you worded it that way, that you didn't really hear the specific words, but you could feel the noise, and you could feel that support behind you, and that's awesome, man. That is so cool. I'm telling you, once you start getting your oats about you and really finding your place in that ring, little by little by little, you're gonna hear the stepdad squad specifically, Mark, 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 Mark. It'll come little by little, and there's gonna be a day, and it's gonna click out of nowhere. It's gonna be like a light switch, and you're gonna be like, oh shit, that's what Kincaid was talking about right there. But then you be able to use, because there's so many tools to utilize in a match, just one single match. And we, the fans, are part of that with what we say, our reactions, our wows, and all of that stuff. And you'll start utilizing, you'll be picking it out verbally, and you're going to be like, okay, I can do something with that. And it's going to come in a little bit of time. And when it does, you're going to love wrestling even more than you do now, and I know you love you some wrestling.
I do love me some wrestling.
Now, let's go a little bit further back. Why TOS? Where did that come from?
TOS, it was interesting. I mean, it was really odd. Wrestling was always like a dream of mine. It was always what I wanted to do since, I don't know, I probably started watching when I was like 11 years old. And I went to high school and it was weird. I almost stopped thinking about wrestling for a little bit because I feel like there was a lot of pressure put on me to like kind of like, wrestling doesn't necessarily get the best like rep.
No.
So it kind of like started like fading from my mind. And I remember when I graduated high school my senior year, there was like an assignment I was received my sophomore year where I was basically told, write a letter as a sophomore to like your senior year self. And, here I was like getting ready for like, whatever future was in front of me. And like, I remember opening the letter specifically and it was like basically along the lines of like, I don't know what's going to happen over the next few years, but like wrestling is your thing. This is what you love. Like, go get it. And I almost had like kind of like a series of like really like just crazy like panic attacks where I was like, whoa, okay, like, this dumb sophomore is right. Like this is what I want to do. So I remember I was going on a family like vacation and I did not enjoy it like in the slightest because the whole time I almost felt like trapped because I was like, okay, because I'm as of right now I'm balancing wrestling in college, and I was going off to college in a few months, and I was like, I gotta at least get this started, like. So I'm freaking out. I'm like looking up wrestling schools near me. I'm like trying to like I'm like working out in like the hotel like gym, just like I was like freaking out. I was like it was a really sudden thing, and I eventually found TOS through just like a series of like looking around, looking things up, and made my way. I didn't even tell my family about it when I first went there. Like it was kind of like I kind of like snuck off and just went because I was like, it was a really crazy thing. And I trained for about 3 months at TOS, and then I had to take a little bit of a break for school because I was a freshman. I couldn't have a car, and now I'm at a point where I've been consistently training for about like 2 years now. So
Nice.
It was a crazy like whirlwind experience of like finding the school though. It was wild.
Now, as you're searching, because wrestling is more flourishing than it's ever been, even pre King COVID. King
King
COVID.
COVID.
Even pre King COVID, wrestling was very flourishing, but post, everybody started coming back. There's been so many promotions that's even started up out of nowhere. Even during the pandemic, there was some promotions that have opened up, and wrestling right now to date is in its history is more flourishing than ever. So I can imagine it was just a little overwhelming trying to find the school, if you will.
Yeah, it was funny too because I almost feel like COVID was kind of like because I started a little before COVID, but I almost feel like COVID wound up being obviously as horrible as the whole event was for an upcoming wrestler. It was oddly a crucial time in my training, I'd say, because those 2 years where I was back consistently were basically mostly the COVID era. And it was kind of like, okay, the whole wrestling world's almost on pause here, like we're like, sort of, events aren't happening, things aren't happening, but, I've got a ring and, I don't know how to do this at all. So it was a crucial 2 years to I feel like my training and like where I'm at now, like that era, like, like training at TOS was like so crucial for me. Like that was like what I feel really helped me like get to where I am now.
You are not the only guy or girl that has stated, I know how horrible everything is, and not that it's kind of almost not even too much better than it was before, but a lot of the talent did not find it detrimental to their career because they've been on the road for so long, just hitting the grind and doing their thing. their body needed some time off forcefully because they weren't
Yeah.
going to take the time off because they wanted to perform and perform and keep
Right.
going and keep going. So I have heard from the talent that as bad as the pandemic is in the world or was or when it was or whatever, it was helpful to me personally in my career because I just needed to slow the blank down, man. And
Right.
I was able to get my mind a little bit of sorts. I got my body, even though I couldn't go to the gym regularly, I was doing other things to keep my body going. And just letting my body heal, letting my mind heal after just running so long.
Right.
And I do find that it was kind of helpful in a way.
It was for a lot. I feel like a lot of people experienced that in like their own little way. That 2 years, however long it was, year and a half of like when we were in like the lockdown, whatever it was. I feel like to just think and be in your own thoughts. It a lot of people, I think, you know, had a lot of like very crucial like realizations about themselves during that period of time. It was a crucial period of time for me with wrestling. It was huge.
And I use this example quite often. It just tickles me so. I even used it last night when I spoke to the Brick City boys, Victor Chase and Julio Cruz, and I fucked up their names. I reversed their names. Oh my God. Right off the ripper, too. Oh my God. It was horrible. But I use this example during the pandemic, and it was very hard for some of the athletes to find the utilization of gym equipment or anything. So they had to kind of come up with different ways of keeping that training alive, you know? And Kirby Wackerman, I'm using him as an example because my man was lifting goats. I mean, my man is lifting like gallons of milk on like a mop stick or something. I mean, he was being innovative during that pandemic.
Resourceful, yeah. That's awesome.
Because I asked him a very valid question. I go, how are you training during this whole shutdown of the world? He goes, oh, you know, I lift goats. I'm like, wait, what?
Casually.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, I have kind of found that out. It's hit a lot of different athletes in very different ways. And I'm so glad that we were able to at least kind of get past that hump, if you will, get those events going, get the world open a little bit more, and being able to have some fun and all of that stuff. Because holy crap, Mark, I just missed wrestling events so much when we were all shut down. And that's kind of where I went from doing face-to-face in-person interviews, and I'm like, how the hell do I talk to the peeps now? Nobody's gonna. Who the hell wants me to go to their house in the fucking pandemic? You know,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
so it's like, what do I do? So I kind of tossed around a couple different ideas because I use everything. My phone I use for everything. I have no computer, so what can my phone do for me? And Skype happened to be my easiest platform to utilize and have physical copies so I can have this stuff and keep it. And that's how I started the STPs on Skype, is because of the flipping pandemic. But my reach has been so much further because I mean, I'm driving all over the place to talk to people, and it's so much more personable. And it's just great to be able to go to, I mean, a privilege and an honor to be able to go to some of these talents' homes or getaway places or what have you, know? And it was just so cool. But my reach is so much further on Skype,
Yeah.
you know? Now I'm going to jump back to TOS and in that ring, because seeing you as a referee, we as fans, we kind of get down on the referees every so often, like, you know, slow count ref, slow count ref,
Oh yeah.
fast count ref, fast count ref. Now I gave you some of that for many a show in a row, and then I even got a little chant going over at a training day. I remember it very specific. I want to say it was training day 29 or 28. Oh, maybe I don't remember specifically, but it was definitely 28 or 29. I got perfect count perfect count, and we got a perfect we got a perfect count chant going from Mark. But we like to have fun, like I said, with all of the talent. And I know, the referee's supposed to be a little bit hidden, but we love to have fun with all of you guys and girls
Right.
in that ring. Now, I also want to talk about the intimacy of that room, because it's basically, you open the door, it's a room with a ring and about 20 or 30 chairs when the training
Yep.
days are there. But it's a very intimate setting in that room. And now that they've gone on the road, they have bigger venues. It's not as tight. It's a different environment. It's a different feel, different vibe, and all of that.
Yeah.
Being at both now, you've been a referee and more at the training days and a performer, because obviously your debut was at the Columbia Club. Which setting do you prefer at this point? That little tight niche intimate setting, or do you like, where it's a little more spaced out and there's more people there?
I mean, I think as a performer, like anywhere where you're gonna get more people is always like exciting because the more people, like louder. But I will say I'm looking forward to. We've got a couple of training days lined up for like January and like onwards. So I'm looking forward to getting the chance to compete at a training day because that dojo, that room, it's like you said, it's you walk in, it's a room, and when we're training, when it's not a training day, it literally is just a room and a ring. Like that's really all it is.
Yep.
It's so like just a special place to me. I mean, the amount of time I've spent there over the last 2.5 years is like crazy. Like the memories I've made there and all that. So I'm looking forward to the chance to getting to actually compete there in front of those people.
I'm in the same boat with you, my friend. I miss that dojo so much, and I know you guys and girls train there. I just miss that dojo so much, man. The setting, the vibe, the intimacy, all of it. Now, I want to go back to my first time. My dad and myself, we have it set in the GPS, 87 Church Street, East Hartford. You go down the road, which is Church Street. Now, it tells you you're at your destination. Now, are we on the same wavelength here? Your first time going to test the strength, did you think you were at the wrong place?
My first time there, I walked. You walk up that staircase to get in. I instead walked around and down the hill because I thought it was down there. And wound up, there was like, I don't even think it's there anymore, but at the time when I started training, there was like a private like gym down there. And I like walked in with my backpack and my wrestling shoes on and said like, "Excuse me, is this like the wrestling place?" And like all these like jacked up dudes are like looking at me like, "No, this is not the wrestling camp." Like leave. So I definitely can relate. I struggled to find it my first time.
Whenever the old GPS and you're at your destination, I actually pulled in the very first higher small parking lot.
Yeah.
And we pulled in, and I looked at my dad and I go, this cannot be the place. So I re-GPS'd it, and it came up, "You are here," kind of gig, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where do we even go? So we get out of the car, we walk down the little sidewalk, we get to that set of stairs, and I want to say, I don't know if it was Nathaniel Carr. That doesn't sound right. I can't remember who was up there, but there was somebody at the top of the steps, and I was kind of the same question. Is this where the wrestling's at? And they're like, yeah, come on up here, So you walk up the steps, and it's this hallway. This hallway is not any ordinary hallway. Boys and girls, it's their fucking dressing room. We walk up, and we're like, wait, are we even supposed to be back here? Like, yeah, just go down the hallway, take a left, go down that hallway, take a quick right. So you go down the hallway, you take a left. There's like almost like a middle area between where the door is and the dojo is, the room.
Yep.
So you go down the hallway, then there's a middle room there where it's open and there's chairs and couches and shit. That's another part of the dressing room. You walk down the hallway a little bit further, you've got the DJ doing the music and stuff. And right there, you open the door. There's wrestling. And I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing. So me and my dad, we were losing our shit when we very first went there. And then when I've had people meet me there to get new faces at Test of Strength, they go, hey man, I think I'm here, but there ain't no way wrestling is at this place. I'm lost. And I come walking out the door and I'll wave and I'll be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm just gonna move my spot real quick.
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem at all.
Okay.
Now you have Slick Wagner Brown as the guy who is the promoter, the owner of Test of Strength. And I want to say he's the head trainer. Along with him, there's hard hitting Bobby Ocean. He's been doing the training as well with the students.
Yep.
And the students that I've already seen being bred, if you will, at Test of Strength, and I'm talking the likes of the Sammy Diaz's, the Elijah Six, the Richard E. Stones, the Jay Bricks. Go ahead. No, do you, Mark? You got. Go ahead.
My mom just got home.
All right. We see these students being bred at Test of Strength, and I think that place is it's a special place down there because of. I mean, look at Mark in his debut. You look fucking fantastic. That shows their training regimen to their students, and I can appreciate that as a fan. Like I said, you didn't half-ass it in your debut. You look great. You look good. Really good in the ring because what you can look good, but how's he gonna be in that ring? And you pulled it all off very well. So I applaud the Test of Strength Dojo for getting you ready proper, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I can't thank like Slick, Bobby, even like Alex, like GM.
Alex Rojas, the GM.
The three of them like have been just so like crucial in like my like I obviously have so much further to progress to go and all that, but I like you should have seen me the first day. Like I walked in there, like what they've done for like me and all of the students there has been ridiculous. I mean, it's a great combination because you've got like great trainers like them, and then you've got an absurdly just like hungry group of kids walking in there. It's a good combination for sure.
I am so glad you said that. I think I might do something with the title for that, with that combination of hunger, hungry talents or something. We're going to call it something along the lines of what you said, because that's what I've seen. They're not afraid to challenge themselves. They're not afraid to go outside the box and just try to do something. And they seem to be good listeners because I've seen them progress show after show after show. Right now, the current tag team champions are Elijah Six and Sammy Diaz. I mean, that just goes to show again what they do, what they breed for students. And I love me some TOS. And I try not to miss a show. I think I've maybe missed 1 or 2 shows in the past, 3 years, easy. I think I've only missed 2 shows at best. I just love me some Test of Strength. And, their championships, I want to kind of stick on the Test of Strength. And I know this is about Mark, but I love me some Test of Strength. Their championships are very unique, very uniquely designed. The final product, when we see these things unveiled, are nothing like any other championships you've ever seen before. And I absolutely love Test of Strength for that. Giving us unique titles. Now, is there any, and I know you're brand new, and I know you just debuted, and I don't want to be, having you bite off anything you can't handle right now, but we obviously look at that big title, but that K1 Classic Championship, oh my goodness.
It's a gorgeous title. It really is.
It's so unique, and it represents Killer Kowalski because Slick Wagner is a Killer Kowalski guy from a teenager, for crying out loud. But man, great titles that they have. I love them. Very unique. And that K1 Classic, and I know, again, the big belt, I'm not taking anything away from that, but we just saw a run of Mike Skyros for about a year and a half. The Moonlight Sun Mike Skyros, by the way.
Yeah.
For about a year and a half. The guys he has had title defenses against, I actually listed them all. I went back onto my YouTube channel and I just scrolled until I found all of the Mike Skyro stuff. And I am telling you, what a list that I culminated, and I ended up putting it on Facebook. Wow. Uh, really, and I'm not taking away anything from Brother Greatness or Sammy Diaz. Sammy Diaz being the very first one. Wait, but Brother Greatness the first one. Brother
I think
Greatness was the
Greatness was
first one.
first.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh no, he is gonna. Brother Greatness is. Please watch out for me, Mark. Please, he's gonna strangle me. Yeah, Brother Greatness, then Sammy Diaz, then Mike Skyros. But it started off as a trophy, a
Yep.
cup. The Test of Strength Classic Kowalski K1 Cup. And it was gorgeous. But then whenever they made a title, ooh, baby, man, oh man, that thing was cool as hell. Now, you have a very bright future, I think, in this wrestling thing here because of the way you performed in your debut match. I want to go maybe a little bit further, deeper into your career, into the future of your career.
Yep.
A lot of the guys, and I know WWE is not always the choice of place now because times have changed. But a lot of the guys that I've spoken with, the WWE has always been that platform that they've strived to when they started to become, when they became a wrestler. Is that what Mark is looking at in the end goal, the big dub?
Whenever people ask me like what my goal is with wrestling, the two things I always say are to travel and to be able to make a living off of it. Obviously, theoretically you can do that in WWE. So someday down the line, that were to happen, they travel, they do shows all over the world, and they've got a lot of money. That would be amazing. But honestly, that's my goal, is any platform I can find to where I can make a living off of wrestling and travel and just like see the world while doing it. That's like the end game for me, is just like being able to do that. That's it.
Very, very cool. Now I want to talk about the character. I know I've said you look fantastic probably 30 times already, but I have to reiterate that because I hate when the guys come out half-assing it, maybe cut off jeans and a t-shirt and something on. Don't do that. Look good. There's no reason why you shouldn't look good coming out and making that first impression. I'd rather give that effort, that little bit more extra. Now the character itself, does it represent anything? Do you have anything built as a character? What's going on here?
I feel where I'm at, like character-wise, I'm kind of like figuring it out as I go. I'm sort of like, I think it's gonna be cool to start wrestling as almost like not like a fully blank slate, but a little, and just let like my experiences and like what happens to my time at Test of Strength and like everywhere else sort of just shape like who I am in the ring, like nice. Let the experiences shape the man kind of idea.
Wow, that's pretty straight. I am so looking forward to seeing the future of that, man, because I love I love the talk character and evolution of, and where does it go from here and stuff like that. But I can definitely appreciate that because you're just going to kind of roll with the punches, see what happens from event to event, from training to training. Maybe something will spark at either or training and an event, something could definitely spark and all of that. Now, you came out, you're on the good guy side. That was very evident being with the likes of Dickie Moon and Bam Bam and Love Dog. Smooches! I got to say that. I don't know why. The good guy, or the face, if you will, is that kind of where you're seeing yourself for a little bit, into your career? Or are you looking for a little mix up, or where do you prefer on that end of the table?
On that whole idea, I definitely feel the way I wrestle and the way I feel most comfortable is just like, like for the people. You know what I mean? It's
for the people, yes.
Doing something and having the people with you it's a cool feeling, and I feel that's just what comes most naturally to me. I'm gonna do my best to obviously, like, the people don't just cheer for whoever. You gotta be on that level. Like, you gotta give them something they're gonna get with. So it's a challenge, but I think I'm up for it. I'm ready.
We got to grab onto something. But see, at Test of Strength, we're very familiar with Ref Mark. And then when you came out as Mark Alexander, we were like, holy shit. And we just popped and we cheered and we cheered and we cheered and we cheered some more. And I'm going to go to the end of your match.
Yep.
And it was gorgeous. I took those pictures. Mark Alexander had on Karen Bam Bam's beautiful. She took a cap and did some craftsmanship to it. And it's amazing. Dickie Moon put his backpack on you, and you were walking out in style, win or lose, my man. You walked out in style. It was beautiful.
It was cool because it was definitely one of those moments where, like, you lost the match and you're frustrated, but it's hard to be upset when you're standing there, your team's like, giving you their bling, the crowd's chant. It was hard to be upset in that moment. It was really cool.
But that's what we do. It doesn't matter about the L. You guys put on a great performance. You were this close. I mean, I know it's only a 3 count. It's only 3 seconds. It could have come on either side the whole time, But Thanos and company. Jesus Christmas. But yeah, that's what we do. We still try to uplift our talent, even though they came up with the L. That never matters. We want to see you guys win, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, and we're still, we're right there for you no matter what. So now TOS has quite the in-house talent, but they've been getting in. Man, have they been getting in some talent from outside of TOS?
For real.
And on this next one, December 4th, Sweet Christmas. The hairs are standing up. See? The hairs are standing up right now. All I had to say was the date because I got somebody specifically in mind. ROH has kind of taken a hiatus until April of 2022. And they've released all of their talent and their contracts, and they're all going all over the place. I see multiple promotions picking up these guys left and right, from the Lethals to the Tavens to all sorts of talent. One guy that I have absolutely loved watching come up and transition, and I'm talking back in like 2016 when he had a buzz cut and little purple tights, little purple shorts, and some black boots, is one Vinny Marsalia. And now he is known as Vincent. If I ever call him Vinny Marsalia, I think he might take one of them dreads and strangle me out. Vincent is coming to TOS, baby. And I know you guys have had some names over the course of the past few shows. Thank you so much, TOS, for all of that. You guys are so good to the fans and everything. I thank you for that. But my God, we've got Vincent coming in on Sweet Christmas, December 4th. I'm losing my absolute shit just talking about it. Mark, I got to ask you a question that I normally don't ask, but I actually asked Julio Cruz last night. These names that come in, and I know you're very, very young in the tenure of your career right now. Do you get starstruck by these guys that are coming in, to Eddie Edwards and stuff like that? Do you get starstruck?
Oh, I mean, I try not to, because I kind of put it in, I try to look at the guys that come in who've been to the top and done all these amazing things. Instead of looking at it as like a starstruck kind of moment, I try to look at it as, hey, this guy's done something that I'm trying to do. And I always try to look at it as like a learning opportunity. Like, every time we've had from Jazz to Eddie Edwards to Pillman Jr. to like everybody that's come into TOS, like all these big names, I try to look at each of them as like, it's very cool that, they're there and they have all these experiences, but I try to look at it as a chance to pick somebody's brain about wrestling, like, and really like take something from it. And that's what I've tried to do every time we've brought somebody in, is just take something from it. And it's because it's cool for the fans to get to see like a name, but then it's cool for the wrestlers to be able to now have such an experienced competitor in the locker room to talk to and all that. So it's cool on like both sides of the coin, I feel like.
Absolutely. Very well put on that. Now, as recent as last night, because right now, as we're speaking, SmackDown is running live at the
Yep.
XL Center, and a lot of our friends and brothers and sisters are actually there right now. Question one: why aren't you there at SmackDown?
I'm actually. It's funny you say that. I'm actually heading up there. After we film this, we're gonna be flyering after the event
Oh,
for Sweet Christmas.
do you want me to let you go, my man? Because
Oh
we've
no,
been talking for like an hour and 5 minutes here.
no, it's fine. We're not doing it till like 10. So I've
Okay.
got we got once the show is over, we're gonna be trying to fly or get some people to come out for the show.
I got you, and I love that you guys flyer because without that, you can't just use the social media. It's not It's not the one stop shop for marketing. You got to do the physical legwork, my man.
Especially with like SmackDown, that's a very rare opportunity where like thousands of wrestling fans are congregated in one spot. That's not like that does not happen very often. Wrestling fans are hard to find sometimes, so that's a good opportunity to get some new fans for sure.
And the reason why I bring up SmackDown and my second question, there was a pop-in at the dojo last night, my man.
Yes, sir.
The 24/7 champion himself, Reggie, did a pop-in over at the TOS dojo. That's pretty cool stuff over there, right?
It was really cool. Yeah, we had it was funny. Like I didn't even know he was coming. We had just training.
I did.
You knew?
Yep.
We had training like usual. We were just doing like whatever. And yeah, halfway through he just walked in and he was super cool. He kind of basically turned the whole thing into like an impromptu like wrestling, almost like seminar, like answering questions.
Awesome. Really?
It was cool. It was the first time I've ever had the opportunity. I've had the opportunity to ask a lot of people who've done a lot of things questions, but that was the first time I had the opportunity to like talk to somebody who's there now, like currently, like right now, and like pick their brain a little bit. So that was really cool.
Very current and right in the middle of it all.
Yeah. That was a unique opportunity for sure. It was really, really cool.
I do stalk. I do follow Slick Wagner's page, and I did happen to notice he mentioned Reggie on his page, and I was like, and I wasn't familiar with the name, so I clicked it, and son of a bitch, it brought up Reggie's shoot page, if you will, and I go,
yep.
Oh, how fucking cool is that,
yeah,
man?
it was awesome.
Yeah, so that was really, really cool. And those are those little things, though, that just come out of nowhere. And if you happen to be at the dojo, it's just a blessing added to your career. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot of moments like that, I feel like, in wrestling where just like that's something like I've always been told coming up is like a lot of the opportunities you're gonna get and a lot of the things that are gonna happen, it's not like you're gonna be told, hey man, in like 6 months, like this is what's going on. Like wrestling is such a spontaneous, random, like kind of spur of the moment kind of like industry to be in. And that's part of the reason I just love it so much. It's like anything can happen like at any point.
And the learning experience, everybody thinks you have to be in that ring, doing the drills, doing the maneuvers. That's only up, and I want to say a smaller portion than everything you do outside of the ring to learn and really embody being a wrestler. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I don't know if that's true. Please.
I would definitely say it's true. I mean, asking questions to people who've been there. I mean, watching tape is something I do. Like when I'm home, that's one of the main things I'm doing is just watching wrestling from different eras, different countries, different styles. The physical aspect of it, like, getting your body right, like, gym, eating, all that. Like wrestling, that was something Reggie was saying last night was like, if you think wrestling is, the 2 or 3 times a week you go to wrestling training, you're wrong. It's like, it's your life.
It is. It's every single day. And I know some do it on the weekends besides their shoot job. And they want to maybe become an aspiring wrestler or, like professionally, making a living 7 days a week, traveling, like you said. Some are comfortable doing just a weekend stuff. But if you're in it to win it, if you're going all the way in, dude, you got to go all the way in. It's an everyday process. I mean,
Oh
for
yeah.
and I'm not one to be talking and athlete advice or whatever, but it is just from seeing
Yeah.
the industry since I was a kid, and then until now, but seeing it a little with different eyes, if you will. It's just it never stops. It's every day. And like you said, if you're only doing, this or that 2 or 3 times a week, you're kind of kidding yourself and you're selling yourself short.
Yeah. For real, it's been a process. It's taken up so much of my time the last 2 years, and I'm sure it's going to take up so much of my time in the coming years. But I think I definitely feel ready for it. I'm excited.
Do you attend the seminars that are available that Test of Strength does? And do you also, because I know a lot of you cats that are at Test of Strength do those specific Test of Strength seminars. Have you done any seminars outside of Test of Strength?
I have done, as of right now, two of the seminars Test of Strength that happened while I was at college. So as of right now, I've done 3 seminars. I did
Okay.
Jazz with Test of Strength. I did Eddie Edwards with Test of Strength. And I also did Buddy Matthews did one up in Pennsylvania at Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling. I went to that one as well. So I've been trying to get around a little bit. I've got there's like 1 or 2 coming up that I'm like eyeing, and like kind of like some bordering states coming up in like December and January. So I've been trying to get to as many as I can because those are good opportunities.
They are, because I've been at 2 of them at Test of Strength, just filming, not putting anything out or whatever. It was just kind of keepsake type stuff and
Yep.
seeing the process of a seminar and because I've never been. I'm a fan. Like, I've never been to a seminar, but Test of Strength was very kind on letting me go to a couple of them and just doing a little
Oh
something
yeah.
for my own personal keepsake. My God, those things are so cool and so different than what you see at the shows. At the shows, it's
Yep.
production. It's this and that. It's the matches. It's very different. It's very pulled back. It's the knowledge. It's the talking. It's the going through stuff a little bit slower. It's just so much different.
Yeah, I totally blanked. I also did just recently. I think it was because it's so recent. I forgot. I also did the Chris Hero seminar recently as well. That was another really good one.
And talk about somebody coming out of the woodworks and really starting to like make some people pop. Anytime I see a Chris Hero seminar or a Chris Hero appearance that's been spreading around the internet lately, the reactions and the comments, it's just so many. Like, because he just came out of nowhere and just started doing this.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who it's like he inspired a lot of people. A lot of this generation watched a lot of Chris Hero. So he was one of those guys, and then he kind of disappeared for a while. It almost felt like, so now he's coming out, he's doing these seminars. It's like everybody's like chomping at the bit to like pick his brain and see what they could take from him. It's really that was a really good one to get to.
Now, you mentioned 4 that you've attended. I know each of them have their own different flavor because of the personality that's there speaking to you or asking you question A or question B, and you guys are bouncing off stuff and doing stuff in ring or whatever. Um, they seem separate enough to where you gain an experience from each of them. Yeah.
Yeah, each of them, because I feel like the way seminars kind of work, it's usually like the wrestler who's hosting it, you get kind of like their flavor of wrestling. So let's say that person's a huge personality slash character. You usually get some of that kind of out of it. But let's say they're one of those workers who's like an in the ring kind of like, strictly business kind of wrestler. You usually will get some little like fundamental kind of thing out of it. So seminars work I feel like for any experienced wrestler to give, because you could take something from anybody, like anybody in this industry you could theoretically take something from if you ask the right question or get shown the right thing.
Absolutely, man. Again, very well put. In your young career, my man, you've only had one flipping match. You you speak very well and smartly about wrestling. You've been training again, under a great tutelage. And the way you speak it shows it very so much because um, you're not you're not like, yeah, this and that or blah blah blah. You talking very smart wrestling, very smart training. Some of the stuff you've said could help out an aspiring wrestler, and you've only had one match, and you talk very well in your young career. And again, I applaud you on that, sir.
I appreciate that, Kincaid. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Um, can I ask about how in the world is Mark Alexander balancing college and wrestling? Because we know how much time wrestling takes out of your life. We've already spoken on that a few different aspects. But college and wrestling? I mean, come on, man. How are you doing this?
The nights I come, because I'm up at UConn in stores, so the process of like a night of like wrestling and college in the same day is always so crazy. It's like wake up at like 8 a.m. and I've got classes. I'm doing homework all day. I try to squeeze the gym in there somewhere, eat at some point, and then it's like at like 5-ish o'clock. I like walk to my car, drive like 30 minutes to the TOS dojo. I train, and I'm kind of like one of the guys who has the mindset like if I'm there, I'm usually there like training will go from like maybe 6 to 9, and I'm usually like if I'm already here, I might as well stick around a little bit afterwards too, you know. So like just like I'm like getting back to the campus sometimes at like midnight, and then it's like I've got to find parking, and then I wind up parking like absurdly far from where I live. So I'm like walking around this like empty college campus on like a Tuesday night at like 1 in the morning, and I'm just like, what am I doing? it's it's challenging, but you know, I gotta make it work if I want to do wrestling. I gotta make it work. So it's cool.
I'm envisioning that picture, 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to find a spot. You're way from your living space. You're getting your cardio in at 1 o'clock in the
Oh
morning.
yeah.
And also, you've got to at least one time being like, what did sophomore Mark get me into? What
What did he
the
do?
hell?
Rooster, it's so funny. It's all that's so rough too, because you're like it's after like 3 or 4 hours of wrestling, so it's like I just did all that, and now like the last thing I want to do is walk like a mile and a half back to where I live in the freezing cold. it's but it's all part of the process, you know. I'm just
when you're passionate about it, my friend, there's many, many, many sacrifices that the boys and girls make. May it be family, may it be job, may it be appointments or celebrations or holidays or whatever. Uh, the sacrifices are absolutely countless. As I've been talking to more and more talent, um, Mark, you are doing just fine. You are a bright star right now. And I know this is going to be something really cool. We, the fans, are going to be watching Mark right from the beginning, and we're going to see him blossom. And I cannot wait to see what the future brings to Mark Alexander because, my man, you're doing a fine job. And I think you're under some great tutelage. You have, and not only that, I want to talk before I do let you go because I'm on a tail end right here. I do want to talk about, you said earlier, the people that surround you at Test of Strength, not the fans, the people, your brothers and sisters over there, the
oh yeah.
fam, if you will. Holy cow. I mean, the Frosties, and all of the names that I mentioned before. And I can go on and on with the names, but man, it's something really cool over there. And having that circle around you is always a very important tool. Again, one of those tools we talk about, that the people that surround you at where you're training, I think is such a vital part. And it's a very, very great setup for Mark Alexander as a talent because uh, everybody wants the best from everybody at Test of Strength, you know?
Oh yeah. the people there, like I say it all the time to them, like whenever we're in the car or just training or whatever. The people who I've been surrounded with are like 90% of the reason I push myself to do like a lot of what I do, because you see all these people around you who you're so close to, your brothers and sisters, and you're like, they're just as hungry as I am, man. Like it's it's very easy to fall into like I feel like with something like wrestling, it's very easy to fall into a what would you call it? Like a very like just nonchalant kind of attitude about it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go to training and I'm gonna put my best into it, but you don't think about it too much. When you're surrounded by so many hungry individuals, it's like, whoa, like I gotta keep up with them. So like we all kind of keep each other on our toes, and it's but it's also not like a bad environment where it's like competitive in like a bad way. It's like everybody's also super close. So a combination of being super close with these people, but they're also driving to be better every day. It's a just amazing environment to be part of. It's really good.
Nothing but greatness. I didn't mean to, nothing but greatness for Mark Alexander. I've been waiting to say that this whole interview. Oh, that's going to be the title. Nothing but greatness for Mark Alexander.
No. Yes. I like
it. Oh, my goodness. Mr. Alexander, you have been an absolute joy and a pleasure on STP. We've talked so many different topics. We've talked so much different information that you gave us was amazing. A lot of laughs. We talked about the people at Test of Strength, all sorts of different stuff. And I cannot thank you enough for spending some time on a SmackDown night, nonetheless, for taking some time out of your life and sharing it with us, the fans. I do appreciate that, my friend.
I thank you so much for having me on here.
Absolutely, because may you be in the game for 10 years, 20 years, 1 year, a couple months. I want to talk to everybody because I just love indie wrestling like that, Now, before I do let you go, though, if we just go on the old social medias and type up Mark Alexander, are we going to find you?
Yeah, I'm on as of right now, I'm on Instagram on just like Mark Alexander Wrestling, and on Facebook just as Mark Alexander. I'm trying to work. The Twitter's a work in progress. I'm getting that. I've got to get on that like next coming weeks. But that's what it is right now.
Now, when we go look you up on the old face page and stuff, are we going to see that beautiful mane and that beautiful face of Mark Alexander?
You will see the infamous picture Katie took at one of the TOS events. Yes.
I am so glad you did it, and I used it for the promo for Stir the Pot. I want to apologize. Kind of not really, though, because it came out fire. I took that picture, I took the background out, I flipped it this way, and I put you right at the front of the Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh my God, that was majestic looking. You are so beautiful. That was great.
That was an awesome picture. It was funny. She like took a bunch of pictures. Like Katie's great. She takes a bunch of pictures. Her things.
Yes,
love Katie. Core course photography, I believe.
Yes,
she's super great.
Core course photography. Yes,
and she she like took a bunch of pictures of me at the Big Jim tribute show, and she like it was so funny. She like took all these pictures, and like all the pictures of me like actually posing, since I'm not like super like photogenic. All the pictures of me trying to pose and look like a wrestler just look dumb because I'm like me trying to be a wrestler. But then like the one good picture was like I think I was in the middle of like I think I like, did a couple no shirt and I was putting on like that jacket, and like as I'm putting it on, she got that like kind of like candid shot, and it's like the one picture that kind of came out somewhat cool. it was really, I appreciate her for that. She's great.
Definitely. I want to reiterate, boys and girls, look it up. Cork Horse, all one word, just the way it's spelled, just the way you hear it. Cork Horse Photography. Go over to her page, hit the old like or the follow, whatever. Follow the links because she's been at the Test of Strength shows and some of the other local events. Come up with some really, really cool shots. But that was the very first thing that came to my mind. As soon as I'm scrolling, and then I saw Katie put out some pictures, and I seen that one of Mark. I was like, That's Mark on a Titanic. I gotta make that. Oh man.
It's cool.
What a fine time we had with you, Mark. Again, before I do let you go, I thank you so much, and I cannot wait to see where everything goes with your career, my man, because I know it's gonna be a good time, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on SCP.
Thank you so much for having me, Ken. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. With all of this fine conversation we had with Mark Alexander, this is Stir in the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Mark Alexander.